Doing great, Kerry. Keep it up.
Keep it up?
Keep it
All right.
up.
Well, I took a lot of hits from that one bill. We'll bring it up. I'm going to put everything on the table here. No budget, no pay, raising debt ceiling. I voted for it. What do you think? Really? Raising the debt ceiling?
No.
Well, you know what? Here's the thing. You do have to step in and say, hey, why'd you do that? And you're always going to get a straight answer. Okay? And there's a reason for it. Because let me ask you a question. If I gave you $3 knowing I'd get $10 back, would you do it? Or wait a minute. If you gave me $3 knowing you'd get $10 back, would you do it? Yeah, the sequester was just that. $65 billion in real cuts. We had to pass this no budget, no pay to get us there. And it was for raising debt ceiling for about 3 months. And everybody hollered, Campaign for Liberty, said, hey, you're raising debt ceiling, what do you do that for? Come on in, I'll sit down and talk to you about it. I'll explain the plan. And it worked. Everything we did worked up until the Democrats shut the government down. And then it kept saying, the Republicans shut the government down. We said, wait a minute. We kept passing bill after bill to get it to open again. But we weren't going to vote for Obamacare. Because that's going to be the ruin of this country. You're going to let the government come in and not only tell you, well, I made a mistake. I mentioned to Fred Upton that since he brought this bill to the floor that said, if you like your insurance, you can keep it. You heard about that? I said, do I need a bill that says if I like my toilet, I can keep it. If I like my light bulbs, I can keep it. If I like my lunches, I can keep it. And if I like my big gulp, I can keep it. And he kind of looked at me real straight. I said, God, he's the one that made those light bulbs. You know, the ones you can only buy at the store, the ones you need hazmat, pick up, right? So you got to be careful. Were we effective? Very much so. First freshman congressman to pass 2 bills. And it was a big education. I want to talk to you about that, and I'm going to get into this, and I'm going to talk to you about one other thing that's very important, as well as these. And that is, I had an opportunity to sit down with a guy by the name of John Klein and Doc Hastings. Now, John Klein is the chairman for the Education Committee, and Hastings is the Natural Resources Committee. We're sitting in their office, having a glass of wine, waiting for the votes. They invited me in because I wanted to hear the story about when John Klein carried the football for Carter and Reagan. And he told me this interesting story. And he's education. He said, so you were in education. I said, yeah, well, public and private school had a qualified general ed as well as vocational education teacher. So what do you think of education? I said, well, I'd like to get rid of the Department of Education. And he said, so would I. I said, really? He said, yeah, he went through this whole thing. I said, wow, that's pretty cool. And then we started talking about this bill, that appropriations bill, and I said, you know, this Common Core stuff really bothers me, and I went through this, issues. He said, those are very good points. I said, yeah, why do we have to make states jump through hoops for Common Core before they can get their money? He said, maybe we can fix that. I said, why don't you make it an option? And by the way, I have a bill that I have on education I'd like to see passed. Not only are teachers, well, the bill as it was written says educators and administrators are the only ones that are allowed to judge schools or evaluate schools and teachers. I said, no, what about entrepreneurs and small business or businesses? Because ultimately, doesn't the student need to graduate and get a job or go to college? He says, well, that's a great idea. And I'm a big fan of teachers. I'm a big fan of small business and business in general. I'm a Republican, right? He said, that's great. Okay, so came to the floor, and I'm reading the bill, and I only have a day to read it. And they have this thing in there that says, if the new appropriations, the state has an option. They don't have to have Common Core to get their money back from the Department of Education. Wow, I was not excited. My staff was really upset. I thought you guys were on my team. He said, yeah, we like the bill. It's just you're not going to get any credit for it. They were really upset about that. But my bill passed. That and improving relations with Taiwan. Taiwan's big on religious freedom and some other trying to bring democracy like we have, similar to that to China. And we have a big influence because millions of Chinese come to Thailand now and see what freedom is all about. Now they're not 100% where we're at, and we're not 100% where we should be at, but those two bills were very influential, and I think it's the first freshman congressman who passed a bill. So is that effective? Yeah? You think? No? Okay. The other thing, did an op-ed on Syria. Remember when the president was going to send a rocket into Syria? And wrote an article in the Detroit News, ended up on the front page of Real Clear Politics, and changed. And actually, all those arguments in there became the arguments for the talking heads against going to Syria. So I helped stop awards going to Syria. I think that was pretty effective. So, what are we doing? Well, I have a philosophy, and I'm going to read this to you that I strictly follow in my office. All my staff, none of them are yes men or women, because I don't hire yes men or women. I hire people that have a different idea. And I want to listen to all these arguments and where they're coming from. And it helps prepare me and weigh what it is I'm all about. But they got to follow some principles. And the other thing I realized in doing this was that, there's an assault about to take place, a big battle coming against the Tea Party Republicans, Tea Party Democrats. That's the battle. They're coming after us. Tea Party and Liberty folks, you're about to be assaulted. They are going to do everything they can to snuff out your voice. So before that happens, I said, I'm going to make sure that 20 years down the road, there's some record about win or lose, what the fight was about. And so I went on the record, in the congressional record, and I did a generic speech. And part of that is you get to alter or revise your remarks. And I handed in about 27 various copies. The only thing that's changed is the name. And this one in particular is the House of Representatives. In support of the Wayne County Campaign for Liberty, Honorable Kerry Bentivolio, Michigan, and the House of Representatives, Wednesday, October 16, 2013. Mr. Bentivolio. Mr. Speaker, I rise today in support of the Wayne County Campaign for Liberty of the great state of Michigan, who, like so many grassroots organizations throughout our country, have diligently educated our citizens on various public issues for the restoration of liberty, not in restricting it. In shrinking our bloated government, not expanding it. Who want to reduce taxes, not raise them. Abolish costly government programs, not create them. Expose the abuses and oppressions tyrannical dictates. Wayne County's Campaign for Liberty promotes the freedom and independence of our citizens, not the interference of government in their lives, and observe the limited, enumerated powers of our Constitution, not ignore them. Mr. Speaker, these truly American patriots of every cultural, religious, and ethnic background have found a common cause in fighting back today's proliferating big government rules and regulations imposed by costly, bloated government bureaucracies who are accountable to no one at the expense of individual rights. They are God-fearing, freedom-loving Americans who desire nothing more than to rein in big government's tendency toward excessive cohesion and the insidious spread of government overreach. They question when the validity of laws and morality contradict each other. They desire nothing more than the extension of individual freedom in a constitutional republic that attaches all possible value to citizens rather than making the citizen a mere agent, a mere number of the state. A constitutional republic that seeks equality and liberty rather than restraint and servitude. Mr. Speaker, there's a great political awakening taking place in our country today, the roots of which are solid stock and American-made. They are a visionary group of individuals who understand the moral foundations of the constitutional republic, the benefits of free markets, and the blessings of individual liberty. May they continue to strive valiantly and dare greatly. Mr. Speaker, thank you for allowing me a few short minutes to give this testimony in support of a truly American grassroots organization. Dave, would you like to take this for your organization? Congratulations. But the first part about restoring liberty, all those things, that's what's in my office. We do not vary or veer from that. The problem we have in Washington, there's three things you're going to have a difficult time finding. One is the truth. Okay. Two is sense of humor. What was the third one? I'm nervous. So,
Gone?
Pardon me?
A gun?
No, you'll find a lot of those. Usually by capital police. The truth, sense of humor, integrity. Pardon me?
Integrity?
Oh, no, common sense. There is a lot of integrity, but you won't find it from the press. Most corrupt thing in Washington. And let me tell you what's going on. Justin and Amash and I are under assault by the Republican Party. Now, I get along pretty much with everybody because I'm just a likable guy. And they're going to, they decided for Justin Amash, guy that makes $100 million a year, is going to run against him. And here's what happened just recently. I don't know if you picked it up, but his opponent was being interviewed on the radio talking about his voting record. And I know that what the guy was saying was a lie. So Justin Amash gets on the radio, and he calls up and says, "Hey, this is Justin Amash. This guy's lying to you. Let me tell you." And he went on, and they had this big argument on the radio. Okay? And I got the tape from him. So, what are they going to do about me? Well, I have a guy who makes $100 million a year. He's going to try to run to the right of me. That's going to be really hard to do. But he will stop at nothing. He's always wanted to be a congressman. So he's going to buy the seat. He has $100 million. He's promised to put in $4 million. Everywhere I go, I have a tracker. You know what a tracker is? It's a person that follows you around with a camera, just trying to get you to say something they can take out of context later or embarrass you with later. Yeah. They're going on the radio. They're actually buying, and we can't prove this, but we're investigating this. They're buying reporters. They're going to spin everything negative. That's the way it works. Man, I don't really care, because most of the people know me, and that's what's important. If you are principled, and I believe in certain values, that's loyalty, duty, respect, selfless service, honor, integrity, and personal courage. That's what I believe in. And as well as my Christian values. Yeah.
Is your tracker present right now?
No, they could be, but I doubt it. I don't think I think they're afraid to come in here or something.
They'll be tracked.
Yeah, they'll be tracked. What do I need to do? Well, they also have a guy named, what's his name? Benetti or something like that. Valenti. He's a establishment Republican. He's going up and down K Street telling everybody, don't give any money to Kerry Bentivolio. Now, a lot of the lobbyists, we take money from lobbyists, I have no problem with that, because some of them come in, they tell me their side, and a lot of them came in and said, "Hey, Terry, we want you to vote for that CISPA bill." And so, well, sorry, I'm not going to vote for it. And I called them up, and I explained why I wasn't supporting the bill that they wanted me to support after they gave me money for my campaign.
Can you explain quickly what that is?
Yeah, basically, it allows the federal government to keep an eye on your internet and your social media, your emails, telephone calls, all that stuff. Pardon me?
They're already doing that.
Yeah, there are, well, I'll get into that if you want, but we don't really have the time because there's more to it. And I called them up and I said, "Hey, I'm not going to support this." And you know what they said? "Okay, great. Now I'm expecting not to get another donation." But you know what? They came in, they donated anyway. I said, "Why'd you do that? I didn't vote for the bill you wanted to." He said, "Yeah, but at least you were honest with us and you respected us. You're the only congressman that's ever called us up and said, you're going to do this. At least you showed us respect." Wow. That's what it's about. You have to go there no matter who your opponent is. You have to show respect. Right? My opponent says that I have secret meetings with Boehner. As of December 1st, we're going to probably have a lot less secret meetings with Boehner because I'm giving up smoking. For you guys, try. So they're coming out and saying, we have secret meetings with Boehner. Well, if that's true, how come you know about it if it's a secret meeting, right? And just for the record, I do have secret meetings with Boehner. I also have secret meetings with a guy by the name of, what's his name? Virginia, Robert Whitman. He's a congressman from Virginia. And I had a secret meeting with him about 2 days ago, as well as quite a few other generals and other military brass. You have to turn in your cell phone, walk through 2 double doors and then 2 other double doors, and everything in there is highly classified, rated top secret. Those are secret meetings. That's my job. I have to go to those meetings. And if Boehner's there, that's part of the job too, because quite a few congressmen are there. Does everybody understand? The opponent's going to say he has secret meetings with Boehner. Do I get along with Boehner? Yes. Do I vote like him? No. He was for Syria. I was against him. He was for CISPA. I was against him. One thing Boehner said, he has a lot of respect for Kerry Bentivolio. And I asked him why. He said, because you're always honest. You don't surprise me. You tell me and give me your arguments before I have to even worry about it. But there are certain bills like, I tried to cut $25 billion out of the water bill. This is what the Republicans are all about. You don't want to bring this up. Yeah, I do. You guys can cut, instead of cutting 12 out, you can cut 25 billion more, and you want to make a dent. And they said, oh, well, okay. And the Republicans and the Democrats shot it down unvoiced. Couldn't even bring it up. I was at Justin Amash asked me why you didn't bring it to a roll call vote. So, well, they threatened me. How'd they threaten me? They had this whole sheet of all this stuff that has nothing to do with the bill. They're going to release to the press and how it's going to affect Michigan negatively. But it had nothing to do with the bill. This is how they operate. And so I said, you know what? Fine. Now I know. Next time, I'll be prepared for it. I'll have all my ducks in order. I'll have the, this is a part of the learning process. There are even some people that have been there 10 years that don't even know that process. So I learned fast. We pick it up. That's why we're so effective in my office. Now, the thing on the, any questions on the legislative end? I'm telling you the facts. I'm not going to lie to you or hold anything back. Okay? Because I'm not a career politician. I'm just a regular guy that got elected to office, and I'm doing a hell of a job up there, according to a lot of people. Yes, sir.
Kerry, are you going to name some names of these lobbyists and such that do these kind of things?
I just did.
I mean, more publicly during your campaign.
That are doing what?
Go right after the source of this stuff.
Source of what?
Of this negative, like against you and Justin?
Oh, well, it's pretty much, I don't have to name names, it's pretty obvious. Let me give you an example. John Boehner, he's the opposite of me pretty much, but we get along, right? He came to Michigan and helped me raise money. And the elitist Republicans in this area boycotted it. And none of you would show up, because that's John Boehner. But you have to work with these people. You don't have to like them, you just have to work with them. And if they get to know you, seriously, they will like you. I predicted 4 years ago, and I don't know if Dave remembers this, but the Liberty folks were coming down hard on the Tea Party folks. Tea Party people are wacky. They don't get it. Right? What's happening now?
Getting together.
Because they're starting to focus on the Constitution. That's where you've always been. It used to be the Campaign for Liberty would be in-your-face type of, activism. Can't do that with Tea Party folks. Try to tell people, or Liberty folks this. Can't do that. AIPAC, everybody at Liberty is focused on anti-Israel, right? No. Wrong answer. Okay? Anti-foreign aid, not anti-Israel. We have a project we're working on right now that's going to cut out about, hopefully, that passes 60 to 70% of foreign aid. In, are you out? How many's in? Raise your hand. Yeah, 60 to 70%. I'm not giving money to people that are going to use that money to kill our soldiers. I'm not going to do that. Okay? But we're still going to, the reality is, we can go 60 to 80%. Are you willing to accept that? You may have to take 30% or 20%. I'm for going 80%. That's 80 yards down the field, right? We're almost there. All right. I'm willing to do that. What was the other thing I was saying before you asked that question? Oh, the elitists, why don't they want Bentivolio? Anybody know? Let me tell you what happened. In Mackinac Island, anybody in Mackinac? Yeah, you were there? The lady came up to me and said, Mr. Bentivolio, you're doing a great job. You're doing a really terrific job. I really like it. I said, well, thank you very much. Well, I supported you. Great, thank you very much. I hope you'll support me next November. Oh, no, I can't do that. Why not? Well, I'm voting for this guy, my opponent. I said, why? Well, he gave a lot of money to the Republican Party over the years. And you know, he deserves it. He deserves it. So, serving our country in 2 wars doesn't count. She said, well, that's different. I said, okay, I'll tell you what. Let's just put the seat up for auction to the highest bidder, and I get to keep the money. How's that work? Well, we can't do that. Absolutely. There are people out there who will do and say anything to get this seat. Will do and say anything. They will try to put a wedge between you and me. You know, I have a firm belief that I picked up in Vietnam. That was the time of the draft. You younger folks probably don't even know what the draft is, right? They drafted. Here? Well, they drafted everybody. Yes. Every segment of society unless you were super rich. Okay? And I noticed as an infantry rifleman that some of those soldiers were getting wounded and killed. And all it said on their uniform was U.S., in my case, Army, in some cases Marines, some cases Navy, some cases Air Force. The enemy didn't care about my cultural, religious, or ethnic background. So why should I? If they don't discriminate, and they're my enemy, why am I going to discriminate against my friends? My brothers and sisters, or my brothers in uniform at the time, we didn't have too many people. I came to the realization that the number one reason this country is the greatest country in the world is because of the cultural, religious, and ethnic diversity of the people in it. And they all have a bunch of ideas. And some of those ideas, well, we may not appreciate, but later on it kind of grows on us. You ever have an idea like that you didn't really like at the beginning, but it kind of grew on you? And you started thinking about it? That's what's happening in this country. A great political awakening is taking place. I want you to go and try to explain to your friends, get educated. And in my case, well, let me tell you, I may not be here after November next year. I'll probably be that. Because we're not going out and raising a lot of money because these people that want this seat are telling everybody not to donate to my campaign. And the press is saying, Bentivolio's not been able to raise any money. Well, I told my staff, I said, you know, I can go to 100 people and raise $5,000. What's that going to get me? But I have this dream, and every morning, I'm very spiritual. Every morning I pray. I say, God, you know, I'm in your hands. You want to take me now? I'm ready to go. But if you're going to keep me here, put me to work. Give me a mission. Give me the wisdom of Solomon, without the lions, and the courage of David. And also, 100,000 people. And I don't know 100,000 people. But it would be nice if I could get 100,000 people to send me 10 or 20 bucks. I don't want 50. I don't want 100. I don't want 500. I just want 100,000 people to send me 10 bucks. I win. If I get 400,000, I got to fight. But if I get 1 million, I win. If I get 2 million, do you ever buy a lotto ticket and dream about how you're going to spend that money? I'm gonna make a promise to you, and Dave's gonna make sure I do this, and so will you. I'm gonna start a PAC. It's called a leadership PAC. And I'm gonna pick people from each Tea Party and Liberty group in my district. You're the board of directors. You're gonna vet these people. I'm gonna put $500 to $1 million in there. We'll see how the race goes, but I think I can win this with less than $1 million. He's gonna spend $4 million. I'm gonna spend less than $1 million. I'm going to put all of you folks in charge of that leadership PAC. And you're gonna come up with a way to spend it to put people in office that are going to be honest. They're going to do exactly, or try to follow the Constitution, because we got to get back there. We really, really do, and that's, I can explain another time how we're doing that, but it's, some of the votes will say, well, that's not constitutional, you shouldn't be voting on it. Well, you should actually be voting present, or yes, if it cuts spending, it pushes us towards the Constitution. So even though it's not constitutional, sometimes you're forced to vote. So this leadership PAC, the idea I have is that you folks, because not all of us have the money to go out like this guy I'm running against and write a check for $1 million. Some of you are hard pressed to write a check for $50, right? But $10 from 100,000 people is $1 million. You can put a lot of state representatives, state senators, and congressmen in office. And local folks too, the city council and that kind of thing, in office. And you're going to make that decision. The power, what is it? What's that saying? No. One out of many? Yeah. We can speak with one voice. With a super PAC. That's how they do it in Washington. You know where I'm going to raise most of my money? For my election, re-election? For my fellow congressmen. They don't even vote like me. But they know that Kerry Bentivolio is an honest guy. And they like having me back. Some of them, they'll tell you that and stab you in the back later, but that's a few. You find out who those are, who those folks are in about 3 months. But I'll tell you what, by January 1st, you'll see over $100,000 raised for my campaign from my fellow congressmen. And most of those people are RSC. You know what that is? It's a conservative Republican. Justin Amash is a member, Jim Jordan. You guys know Jim Jordan? Oh, yeah. There's a lot of Justin Amash's and Kerry Bentivolios in other states. There's about 150 of us. We need to have about 220 of us. And the only people that are really going to do that is you. Because seriously, I'm having a good time, I'm doing my job, I'm learning a lot, I'm sticking to my principles. You may not always agree, but I am. If you read my Facebook, why we voted the way we did, you're going to see that we're sticking to our guns. But if I don't get reelected, I can go back to teaching real easy. It's up to you. You want me to continue to work? You got to be there. We have some big bills coming up. The traffic cameras bills. I hope you're in on it, because they're going to beat me up on that one. Say, why are you worried about those when you should be worried about jobs in Michigan? And we have done some legislation that helps promote jobs in Michigan, but they're going to ignore that and say this. You have to fight back. You have to write the letters to the editor and tell them the truth. You have to go to our Facebook pages and read what we said about what we did, and if you believe it, I want you to be the deciding factor, because you have to be a critical thinker, because I don't want anybody else except critical thinkers. And educated folks. So, what else? That's it, pretty much. Did I talk too long?
You did.
Okay.
Stay there. Put a bar or your foot in there.
Move that over. Move it over.
All right.
Now,
This is still going? All right, listen. First of all, I want to say that this right here is because of all of you and because of our work. So we've earned this, and in order to keep earning this, we have to stay on him. So I'm not going to let up. This doesn't buy the congressman anything. I just want to make sure everybody knows that. I want to make sure he knows that. Because if I don't stay on him, then I haven't earned this. You haven't earned this. So we are going to stay on him, and we might even stay on him even harder. But if he does right, then he does right, and that's because of the work that we're doing as activists. Now, I want him to understand a few things, and I want you to pay close attention to what you heard. He offered us to be involved in something. It was a PAC in this case. But in our activist training, what we are told is that in politics, you have these politicians, they're doing their thing. And, you know, if you're doing the right thing and you keep on it, going on. This is the type of things that politicians will do. In a roundabout way, that was almost what we got here. Now, I appreciate this thought. Okay, I really do. But the reality is Campaign for Liberty, unlike other organizations, is not an access-based organization. I am not interested in gaining access. I am interested in influencing through our power, through our numbers, through sheer pressure. That is what our function is. If I wanted the Congressman to vote a certain way, I do it through pressure, not through access. There are plenty of access-based groups out there. We just happen to not be one of them. So I would have to say on the surface, we probably wouldn't get involved in any type of electioneering or any type of PAC of that sort of nature. I definitely would have to go back to our national organization and talk to them about this idea. But without getting into the details of it, and it's not meant to be offensive, but what I want to do is a little civics lesson here, and that was just to show you. Now, I went through something very similar a couple of days ago in my district meeting. I offered up a resolution censuring the state reps and the governor for supporting Medicaid expansion, saying that this was our line in the sand issue as Republicans. I hope that's recorded. Thank you. I want people to see this and understand that we're not playing games here. You can relax. But they attacked me. These were fellow Republicans and they attacked me. If you pass a resolution like this and say we're not going to support fellow Republicans because they betrayed us, you're going to destroy the party.
You're a Democrat.
You're a Democrat. They accused me of Marxism. I'm a Democrat. They told me to go join the Democrats. They even told me they won't take you seriously. They won't work with you.
But they're pretty hypocritical about that, aren't
Well, they are hypocrites. But it's our job to point that out, that they are being hypocrites. And so this happened to me this week, and I'm not sure that it just happened again, but I'm going to check with my national organization. But the point is that we're not access-based, and so just understand that. I will never trade our power for access on the inside. And I'm telling him right here to his face, a sitting U.S. Congressman, that I will never do that. So if I want something done, I'm going to do it through the idea that something needs to be done, be it a good piece of legislation, and I'm going to get all of you to corral behind it, and I'm going to get you to apply pressure to people like him to make sure that it gets done, because that's how it gets done. And if he's good on principle, or even if he wasn't good on principle, he will respond to angry voters. He will respond if he thinks he'll lose votes if he doesn't do a certain thing. And I'm going to ask him something. Now, hold on just a second, because I'm going to ask him something, because he brought up something very interesting. He said there's a lot of people that will say anything to get his seat. First of all, let's make one thing clear. It's not his seat, it's our seat. That's one thing. The second thing is that the way he holds it. But the second thing is we need to ask him the same question. And I'm going to ask it right now, and I'm going to get an answer from him. Why do you want the seat? Because they're going to say whatever they're going to say to get that seat. But you also want that seat. And so I want the answer from your heart. Why do you want to be a sitting congressman?
So here you go.
Great.
No.
Does anybody here work for David Trott? Good. Could you turn that off right now, please? Anybody else recording? Okay. It doesn't matter to me. If I got to go home tomorrow, that's okay. because it's very frustrating. It's called political bipolarism. Some days you're up, some days you're down. You lay awake at night thinking about the next day's votes. What's the right thing to do? Nobody's communicating except my staff, and I'm worried they're insulated as well. So sometimes I'll call up somebody that I know at home and say, what do you think about this? What do you think about this? And there's a few people I have. Why do I want to be here? I didn't have, for the record, folks, there's some truth to the fact that I'm here by accident. Wasn't supposed to win. But it's more truthful is he's the accidental ex-congressman because he didn't get enough signatures on his petition. And the last 3 times he ran for office, they were fraudulent petitions. That's a fact. Why do I want to get beat up? Right now they're trying to blame McCarter is suing his staffer for getting in, and they have subpoenaed some of my staff thinking we did it. I'm not that smart. You know, I mean, I don't want it that bad. So why am I there? To do the right thing. Seriously. It cost me my entire retirement to keep this seat because I had not everybody sent me a check. And it cost me my entire retirement. And I knew at the moment I took office that no matter how good I did, there were Republicans going to, the elitist Republicans were going to come after me. So why do I still want this seat? Yeah, I guess you're right, for you. Because that's, seriously, I don't need it. I go home, I have a vineyard, I raise reindeer, I have 3 grandkids, I have a garden. You know, if this guy wins, that part about, sometimes it's better to get the worst candidate, let the worst win it. You remember that in your activist training? Yeah, that's what you get, the worst one. He's going to tell you everything you want to hear and do whatever he wants. Because it's about him. He wanted to be a congressman, and he's rich enough to buy it. And I'm sitting there, well, if that's what our country's come to, then maybe it should go to hell. Maybe it should fall down. Now, I'm fighting up there, and I put in long hours. I don't chase women, I don't use drugs, and I don't use alcohol. Okay, I smoke a lot. That's what I'm trying to get enough, right? Smoke a lot of cigarettes. I do not have to do this and to be happy. And what really irritates me is when you say, the one thing you said that I have a disagreement with, is you say, well, when he does something wrong, we beat him up. What I did was I had a supporter, Alex, I wish he was here to defend himself, right? Because I called him in when he said, you voted for this. I said, yeah, come on in, let me explain the plan. Next thing I do, I read the editorial, and he's got a letter there. It wasn't very nice. And it lacked a lot of vision and understanding that I tried to make clear to him. And I wish he was here. You can tell him, because he's welcome in my office anytime, as is all of you. Just go through Melanie to schedule it, all right, because I am a very busy guy. So why do I want this office? Part of me says, I don't really need it. And if I'm not doing the right thing for my beliefs, and I spelled those out in that paper, then I don't need it, because I'm not one of them. I'm not going to raise the debt that my grandchildren and those unborn have to pay back. That's immoral. I can't do it. It's not me. I am trying to find a way to get ourselves back on the right course. And I'm being very effective. And one of the reasons I'm being effective is because I don't have any desire to be a speaker or a chairman or the president of the United States. So you know what? I'll be happy with just being a good congressman for the 11th district. That's it. To be a good congressman, not the best, not an excellent congressman, a good congressman representing my district. Can't just represent you. have to represent the entire district. What about those people that aren't right? Well, the most right people seriously tend to be Liberty folks, and who's coming along are the Tea Party. They're falling in line. But you're not there yet. We gotta educate it. I've got to educate it. And I'm willing to stand behind every single vote that I make, and I can justify it. Now, you may not always agree with it, but it follows those principles. And probably one other one that's not in there. But that's what we're trying to do. Create a smaller government that's more focused on the Constitution. Are we there yet? Hell no. We got a long way to go. Are you going to understand everything I vote? Probably not. But you're free to call my office and schedule a meeting and say, why did you vote this way? And I will explain it to you, and if I'm wrong, we'll set me straight. And we'll fix it. Okay? Because I'm not perfect. Like you said, I'm just an average guy in an extraordinary job. Just like Vietnam, just like Iraq.
Right. I don't think that you'll get too many heart-to-heart sit-downs like this, so appreciate it, because he's one of 435 up there. All right, you'll get a few. You know, this is part of civics. Yes?
I want to make a comment.
Yeah, go ahead.
The one thing about Kerry is he gives us access. I spent 4 hours in his office with him yesterday, and we talked about some really major issues and some ideas. And it's the one thing that I've noticed about a congressman that I've never noticed before. He'll give you 4 hours if you want it, and it was an incredible meeting. Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I was actually blown away when I was driving home yesterday, thinking I got 4 hours with Kerry. And would I ever get 4 hours with David Trott? Hell no. The only way I'm going to get 4 hours with David Trott is if I've got a $100,000 check in my hand. So I can tell you this, Kerry's our voice, and somebody's trying to take our voice away from us.
Here's the other thing. I was very impressed. Best compliment I got in Washington. We have a cleaning lady. She comes to my office, cleans, and she knocked over my Desert Storm cup and it broke. I found out, this is like, I don't know, before August. Well, I found out before I came here this past week that she came into my office and said, Mr. Bentivolio, I'm the lady who broke your cup. And, I wish I could replace it. I said, why? I made it into an ashtray. Right? And she said she was all worried because if I turned her in, she would have lost her job for breaking a cup. And when I heard that, I sat her down and I said, don't worry about it. Just, it's not a big deal, right? It's not. And, but there's a lot of congressmen up there. And this is what she told me. That would have had her fired. There are the elevators, when the votes come up, it says members only. And kids, interns, I call them the kids, interns will not get on the elevator with a congressman if that light is on. You know what? If I'm going to the basement from the second floor and they need an elevator, I just hold it, get on this damn elevator. And they get on and we ride down together. My staff said, people won't say hello to you in the hallway. Why not? They're told not to. You know what I told them? Jokingly, we're still up the air, right? I said, well, if they're pretty, tell them they're more than welcome to talk to me, right? Seriously, all joking aside, anybody can stop me in the hallway and say hello. That irritates me. You can't have an intern, can't talk to a congressman. That's ridiculous. Most absurd thing I've ever heard.
I like this idea of talking about the Tea Party. I go a lot of the Tea Party. You can see me there. I go to Willow Run, I go to Clinton. And this thing of Tea Parties and Liberty people getting together,
It'll happen naturally.
this is good. It's united we stand, divided we fall, folks. And I've been educating the Tea Parties, going to meetings, and Rich has been doing it.
Yeah, I actually go to the Tea Party and have coffee. So we got to get away from the Tea Party and I joined their coffee because we got bad rap.
I'm going to the lakes tonight. Starting at 7 o'clock, right?
That's at a gunpoint, too.
Well, I think it is.
It is a gunpoint.
I'm going to be speaking, getting another one of those. I'm not here to buy your votes. I'm not here to try and tell you one thing, because look, here's the thing. If I have to lie, it's not worth the job. Seriously. It's not. Yeah, I won't intentionally lie. I may lie to you unintentionally,
And, well, wait a minute, I will
They do a lot of that
lie
washing.
to you. I will lie to you if you ask me what size the fish was I caught the last time I went fishing, but, you know, that, we can do that. But seriously, I won't lie to you intentionally. I always tell you the truth as I see it. And if I don't have the answer, I have staff or so. I'm not interested. I don't want this job under false pretenses. It's just not me. Yes, sir.
If I was in your place, and I think I would do a lot of things you do,
Yeah.
how do you contain the rage when these people react in these negative ways? And when you have to deal with a lot, I couldn't contain the rage. I wanted to just leave. And you don't seem to be that way. How do you do this?
That's good. Remember I told you I was a teacher? Well, during my classes, for a long time, I always had a special ed teacher in that classroom because the classroom was special ed. Now, I also had some general ed, right? And I also had what we call struggling learners. The kid that comes in with a cover on, 25 of them. I have 435 congressmen on the floor of Congress, 434 I got to deal with. I've had them as a student, at least that type of personality.
They still have a tether?
No, some of them do, yeah, some of them do from their wives mostly. But here's the thing, they're all, honestly, like Fred Upton, I've had him in my class. Bill Heisenberg from Michigan, he's on the west side. He was one of my students, okay? Dave Camp, one of my students. Eric Camp, one of my students. Boehner, one of my students. Their personalities, that's what it is, and I'm thinking, you know, I could probably take over this. I could be Speaker of the House someday. No, stop it. You're not going to think that way, right? But I'm thinking about it, and I said, well, all I have to be is the teacher. No, I just have to be the teacher, right? But no, I can't do that because I just want to be a good congressman. I'm going to let it go. And I sit sometimes on the floor of Congress watching all these kids competing to be the most popular. Just like in high school. Yeah. I'm not kidding you. It's so, it's funny, it's amusing. And I think that's where I get the most joy out of, and entertainment, as I can escape. I know they're talking this, talking that, and there are issues. And then somebody said, how can you handle all the issues? Because you get about 100 of them a month. I said, well, it's kind of like giving your students that worksheet of all the subjects they have to make it write a research paper on. You've all done it, right? Teacher gave you a list of things you could write and do a report on. Well, guess what? It's easier in Congress because they get them one at a time, not all at once.
Do you still give these former students grades?
Yeah, I do.
You know what I mean?
Well, I
calculate that they're
Heritage
good.
Foundation and Freedom Works gives them grades. Mine for Heritage is like 83. My district is 80 to 85% under Heritage. For the Republican side and the independents, we're about 85% Heritage rate, and I'm 83. Justin Miles is 87, so he's a little bit, but that's his district as well. We are proud to where we come from.
This is good. I really enjoy this. I don't want to disrespect anybody's time. It is 3 o'clock, but there's a few folks that I think want to say a few words. I will say I just got something over the wire that I want to share with you, and we haven't released a statement yet on it, but we're going to. Hold on just a second. Secretary of State Ruth Johnson has proposed administrative rules that would force issue organizations not doing electioneering to disclose donors. We've got a little bit of details on this. We haven't gone